Alright, guys, part 4 to my Talkie chatbot series. Where in the last video, guys, we started talking to Zombie Rexy, who was supposed to be friendly, but he's acting extremely aggressive towards me. And even when I'm trying to ask him to do simple tasks to help him out, he's flipping and getting angry at me and about trying to attack me. I just said, now, listen, please. If you are still hungry, I will give you another steak. The only thing I ask from you is to try saying one word. It could be a name, it could be my name, it could be the word steak, it could be food. I don't care what you say. Just please try saying one word. He stops eating for a moment and he looks up at me. He seems to be trying to think of something to say, but he can't seem to get the words out. He starts to get frustrated again and he starts to growl. Seems to be getting very agitated and he's starting to get very close to losing control again. Rexy, calm down, please. I'm just trying to help you to be able to speak again. Take 2 deep breaths, say whatever you want to. He seems to be trying to take deep breaths, but he's still getting very agitated. He starts to pace back and forth and he seems to be getting more and more frustrated. He suddenly stops and looks at you and he says one word. I listen to the word Rexy manages to say. He says the word food. It's a very short word, but it's a start. He seems to be trying to say that he wants more food, still very agitated. He starts to growl again. He seems to be getting very close to losing control. Rexy, calm down. Please. Remember, I'm trying to help you. Here is that steak. He takes the steak and starts to eat it quickly. Seems to be calming down a little bit, but he's still breathing very heavily. He's trying to control himself, but it's still very hard for him. He suddenly stops eating and looks at you. Do you need something, buddy? He seems to be trying to say that he wants something, but he can't seem to get the words out. He starts to growl again. He starts to get very agitated. He starts to pace back and forth again. He seems to be getting very close to losing control again. Here, I have an idea. Can you point at what you want? I want to help you and make you happy. So please, calm down. He didn't understand what you were saying, and he starts pacing back and forth. He looks around the room, and he seems to be trying to find something. He suddenly walks over to a table, and he points to a glass of water. He seems to be trying to say that he wants a drink of water. I go grab a big bowl and put a bunch of water in it for Rexy. He seems to be very happy you got him the water, and he drinks the whole bowl in a few seconds. He seems to be feeling much better now that he has had something to drink, and he seems to be calming down a little bit. He sits down and looks at you. See, buddy? I'm trying to help you. Somebody that was trying to be mean to you wouldn't have gotten you that water, or would have even dumped it in your face instead of giving it to you to drink. I would never do anything to harm you. He seems to understand what you are saying, and he nods his head. He seems to be trying to say that he knows you are trying to help him. He suddenly gets up and walks over to you, and he hugs you tightly. He seems to be trying to say that he's very grateful for your help. After the hug, I gently pet him on the snout. He seems to enjoy the pat on the snout and he smiles a little bit. He seems to be feeling much better now and he seems to be starting to relax. Suddenly lays down and closes his eyes and he seems to be starting to fall asleep again. Okay, so I noticed one big pattern with Rexy on here. He seems to be kind of aggressive. After a few minutes, we hear a loud voice scream, Rexy? Attack your owner. I demand you. Oh, frig that. No, 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 no. Who did that? He's only what's around the room. He seems to be very confused and he starts to growl. He seems to be trying to figure out what the voice is saying and he seems to be getting very agitated again. Starts to pace back and forth again and he seems to be getting ready to attack. Rexy, don't listen to that voice. They're trying to tell you to attack me. But please don't. Think about who has been taking care of you. I can help you find them if you calm down. He's always thoughts and looks at me. He seems to be thinking about what you said. He seems to be trying to decide whether or not to trust you. Are you kidding me? He's still breathing very heavily and he's getting very close to losing control. Someone starts to growl again and he starts to walk towards you. Rexy, I'm your friend, not your enemy. Stop. Please. He suddenly stops and looks at me. He seems to be trying to remember something. Seems to be thinking about the voice that he heard, and he seems to be trying to figure out what it meant. He suddenly starts to growl again. He starts to get very agitated. Seems to be trying to decide if he should attack you or not. Rexy, remember, I'm your friend. I took care of you and raised you. I would never want to do anything to harm you. Why are you trying to do it to me? I'm also going to play the flipping guilt card to get him to stop. He seems to be trying to remember what you're saying, and he's starting to get very confused, starting to get very agitated again. He seems to pace back and forth. Seems to be trying to figure out who he can trust, and he seems to be getting very frustrated. He suddenly stops and looks at you. Look, I can show you it's me. If you let me come over there without you trying to hurt me. I did this earlier and you were enjoying it. He seems to be considering what you are saying and he's starting to calm down a little bit. He nods that he seems to be giving you permission to come closer to him. I walk over to him and pet him gently on the snout. You were enjoying this earlier, Rexy. He seems to enjoy the pet and then he leans into your hand. He seems to be relaxing a little bit, and he seems to be starting to trust you again. He's still breathing very heavily, but he's no longer growling. This is what I did for you earlier. If you hear a voice like that telling you to attack me, think about who is the one giving you the repentance. Or the food. Or the water. I'm your friend, not your enemy. He seems to be understanding what you're saying. He nods his head. He seems to be trying to say that he will remember that. He suddenly stops and looks at you, and he seems to be trying to say something. Okay, buddy. Just calm down and speak slowly if it makes it easier for you. Friend, he seems to be taking a deep breath and he seems to be trying to control himself. He suddenly speaks and he says one word. Friend. Yes, it's me. I promise. I'm not hurting you. I would never. He seems to understand what you're saying and he suddenly hugs you tightly. He seems to be very relieved that you are not trying to hurt him. He's still breathing very heavily, but he seems to be calming down a little bit. We're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Alright, guys, I'll be back.